chick. Fuck that shit. Like I was saying. We're gonna play a brand fucking new song for you all tonight. Never heard anywhere but Albany, New York. This song is about a little girl who got caught masturbating by her daddy. She was a little witch. She practiced the black arts. And he buried her alive. This is a true story. David Ellison lives used to where she was buried. Her tombstone says, "Beware, my friends, as you pass by. As you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so you must be. Prepare, my friends, to follow me." Mary Jane Flutter.
Hello, how are you? Welcome to my review of NYOBI Comics. What is it called? Outbreak. No, Origin. That's terrible of you, right? We've just done a live stream for 2 hours with, designing the next stage, the patterns and all that from the for this cup I'm doing. Sculpture cup called Sacrifice, Sacrificial Cup, for a fundraiser for a very cool cool little fundraiser for a community trust art center. So with that in mind, let's move over to NYOBI Origins and let's get this let's get this review started. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to grab me a drink because I'm like trying to figure out my brain isn't working properly. So now, as you know, right now NYOBI has 55 hours, which is just over 2 days, to basically get as much money as possible to support it. Crowdfunding, as much as it's cool and good and everything, and I love it, and I endorse it to everybody, right? It is also where you do have to reach a certain money amount, and so it doesn't always work the best way, to fill itself. And sometimes you can have a project that's millions, couple million, right? If you have a big name, like Todd McFarlane attached to it, or if you what I would call a scumbag move, like someone like what is that? Not Universal, Legendary Films, right? Goes and does a Dune 2 adaptation on Kickstarter when they have billions of dollars as a production company, as a studio, to do it themselves and put it out into, they have all their networks. They don't need crowdfunding, but because they're scumbags, right? Talking about Legendary Films and whatever, and with Dune, they go and put a Dune 2 adaptation of the film that's just in the movies right now. And I think that's a scumbag move for crowdfunding. But, it's not like they're getting started out and this is their first project, which is what or they're independent creator, right? No, they're a multi-billion dollar freaking studio, film company, whatever. But they're going to use that. And so that, in a sense, is like, oh, we're going to do comic books is like the new big thing for influencers, right? People from YouTube and people from anywhere. It's like if I'm like you saw with Andrew Tate and all that. Now he wants to do comic books, so it's a new prime energy drink shit. However, for us who are out here creating and have been doing creating comics, whatever, and not only just comic books, musicians, artists, writers, filmmakers, it's the first sort of step to actually getting some work done or getting some work out into the open to the public. And for that, I'm very grateful for that. And, for someone like Larry out here who's been doing this for 10 years, and I'm going to, with this review, right, I said, I put up that I'm going to be honest with it. And I'm going to be as honest as I can, even though Larry's a friend and a good friend at that, right? I also want to not try to pull any punches and not try to make it seem like I'm saying what needs to be said. I told him I'm doing this, so, and one of my friends said, hey, have you read my comic yet? I said, yes, I've read number 1, and he and actually reviewed it as well, but we didn't do a specific little review like this. I actually did it on a live stream with talking about, with guests and stuff, and I pulled it out and said, this is what it is. But this is one I haven't done. This is my first one I'm doing this. So first time I'm doing this for 2024. So now I am going to, do my best at, not trying to give away too much of this amazing book. And right away you said, oh, that's amazing, right? So I'm like, it's a plus. But here's the thing. There are some things in this that I think that I've learned through my own friend having to self-publish and get into comic stores, but also from the comic store point of view as well, which is what I'm going to bring into this, right? So I'm going to bring an artist's point of view, a writer's point of view, and a shopkeeper's point of view, right? The comic shop. And that's where I'm going to try to be as honest as I can about this. And the thing is, I really enjoyed this book, right? Because I've had this sitting, on my folder on my computer for at least about 4 months. And I've only just got into it. And the reason why I don't read a lot of comic books nowadays is because I'm writing a lot. And I don't want to be influenced by anything I'm reading, because somebody will go, oh, you got that from that one, or you got that idea from that one. I'm like, no. This is why I don't listen to any music while I'm, have not, basically have nothing interfering with when I'm writing, because I want my head to be clear, not influenced by something or distracted by something. And I think a lot of people are like that. So it's like musicians. They will listen to, if they're metalheads, they'll listen to jazz or classical music, right? Or something that's totally different to what they're doing, because that actually makes them get out of the metal headset, and they learn, they're able to enjoy that. And I listen, I've heard a lot of artists say that, a lot of musicians say that. So I'm the same when it comes to writing and reading other people's work. And especially, I don't want to do injustice to other people by somehow in the back of my head, I'm taking their ideas and incorporating them. I had a friend who gave me his book, right, called Moneyland. Really good book, by the way, guys. Look it up. It's on Goodreads. Moneyland, one word. Money like in, moolah, in pesos. He's done 1 and 2 novels, and it's got 3 to it's a trilogy. Young adult fiction. I would say it's cyberpunk-ish tech. Yeah, kind of cyberpunk-ish. But it's a good book. So with that, I actually, this is what I was getting at with Mike's book. He gave it to me, and I read 50 pages about shit. I'm writing this. I'm like writing something similar to this, so I'm not gonna. I have to stop myself reading it because I'm gonna get my work's gonna get influenced by that. So what I did was I read 50 pages, put aside. I went to my brother-in-law, said, "Please read this book for me. Let me know what you think." Right, and because I didn't want Mike's work to influence my work that I was doing, and I haven't touched that work ever since. Like I wrote about 100 pages of that work or something, or 50 pages, and I haven't, because it was going to be a novel, so I haven't written it because I wanted to, when I go back to it, I have a totally clear idea of what I wanted. And it's a very big book. Not very, not a, hold on. It's a sci-fi book as well, like just like his one. And so that's the other thing I don't want. It's like, and it was kind of similar because it's like, it's kind of a dome thing, like people closed off. And my book was that I was writing even before I met him was like a closed off gated community thing, right? And I didn't want that to be influenced on that. It's the same thing like with reading NYOBI. Like I didn't want NYOBI to kind of like at that time 4 months ago to influence what I was writing, because I write all inside of all genres, as you know, right? If you watch, What's Cooking, the What's Cooking live streams, right, which we do on Monday Northern Hemisphere, which is like America and so on, and then which is Tuesday for us in New Zealand. I talk, I spend like half an hour or so talking about the books we're working on right now. So now I finally got a chance. Last night I was, thought, okay, now I'm clear. I can sit down and read the book. And so I was listening to his live stream and said, hey man, what order am I supposed to read it, right? And so he told me, so I was like, cool. So let's read the first one, which is Origins. Now, this version here is, I think it's the digital version. Yeah, I think it's the digital version, right? Yeah, digital version. So the digital version would be different from the physical version, right? What you put out. So now I know Larry is doing this whole bad girls thing, but I think this is a very cool young adults book, right? I think if without with taking out couple little things out of this book, it's mass marketable. Right, I know it's already, I think it's already gone into the books, and like into the stores through Antarctic Press. Well done, Ben Dunn. Well done, Larry. I really commend you for that. Getting your book into the stores is the pinnacle, right, for any creative person who's working in the indie comics scene. Should be your goal, right? But if you're doing it for yourself, that's fine. I don't, if you're doing it for, I don't want to get it published. I don't want my comic to be seen by the rest of the world. I don't want it sitting on a bookshelf. That's fine. But for those of us who have the goal of having our book in whatever language, wherever else around the world, that's where I'm at. I want to be able to go into a shop and pick up my book, and have you in America pick up my book, have you in Australia pick up my book, Sweden, right? I've got artists in Sweden. I want to be able to have Ewa Kim walk into a shop and go, hey, can you order me this? Go, and somebody will go there, like happened with Larry's book. Well, don't know if we can get that. It's like, dude, give me the ISBN, give me the whatever number it is. Okay, here, this is a number. Now you got somebody around on the other side of the world reading that, and enjoying that. Next, the other thing about that is getting in the shop. That's your iron. You're basically being challenged to see if your book is as good as the other X-Men book, and this book is just as good as any damn X-Men book out there right now, right? I read it and I was like, yeah, and it reminds me of the 80s, to be honest, 90s, that sort of quality of work, right? When we really loved that shit. What drew me into comics and why I actually started reading X-Men was because of the writers on it. Even to this day, I still hold Claremont and Byrne, right? Claremont. That's kind of when Claire Byrne, Chris Claremont and John Byrne, right? They were great writers. I read every thing that was coming across for about 2-3 years on from the mutant range, right? Anything to do with X-Men, mutants, and that's like hundreds of, maybe thousands of dollars spent in that 3-year period. However, as we know now, that's a dead, the X-Men. Hey, Naughty, You don't tell me if that was naughty, by the way. Nugget, if that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, so yeah, and so if you're watching, or if you're this whole fucking X-Men '97 thing, right? Everybody's running after that. Why? Because it's supposed to it reminds them of the past, right? Of that time when comics were actually good. Me, I don't care. I really don't care about X-Men '97. I put a post about it because if I want to watch animation that's that good, I'll just go and watch an anime, right? But for those who are new to the X-Men thing, go for it, man, because at least you get a reminder of what good comics and good storytelling was like. However, go and watch the original series, and you'll know why we love that shit so much, you know. But so, like I said, now this is a digital version, and so I'm going to give you the negatives and pros of why this, what this comic is. The pro is it's told in a really cool way. It's taking something different. It kind of feels, you kind of, it's like, because like I know, Larry said that it's like his X-Men kind of universe world character, and it's very, and he's being honest, but it's not also that. When you read Origin gives you like a sense of like, I don't want to use the word wonder, but it gives you kind of like, what am I in for, right? What is this universe that's been created? So the first couple of pages is like, you hear about NYOBI, who she is. And so one of the other things is like, there's some things that I wish there was a bit more explanation, right? There's a part where like, I'll tell you now, because otherwise I'll forget. My brain works that way. I have to talk when it's in my head, or else I'll forget completely. So there's a part there when one of the characters has does this thing, and there's a psionic thing, purpley thing shoots out. I don't know if that's like a power thing, because it's on one hand, it's not on the other hand. So you don't know if it's just come out of her as a power, or if it's something solid or something like that. So for me, if I was doing that, and this is just on me, right? I would basically have a little narration going, like maybe NYOBI going, did they just poke out of a hand? What is that shit? Something like that, right? Just to kind of wonder, and not without explaining too much, right? And maybe this has happened later on. So I'm only going on the source in front of me. There's one issue, right? So that was one of my things I was thinking. So when NYOBI, you find out NYOBI is a idol, and she is she's like if you know anything about Japan culture, you know about the Japan idols, how hard they work, and I love the way that he writes that. He lets you in about behind the scenes, right? There's like the managers, and he doesn't like expand on it too much. It just gives you enough. So if you are someone who's watched anime or read manga to do with idols and know that idol culture, you understand what's going on. And even if you didn't, you still get it. And that's what I love about that. It's not like it's overexposing that area of it. And I think that's really good. I think that part is really brilliantly done. I just love that idea. Now, and then you find out that there's a future, future imperfect. What is that like? Past imperfect or future past? It's got to do with like the whole X-Men thing. Like I enjoyed reading, because I read like X-Men from about maybe 87 to 92, like religiously, right? Like every week there was like, I had to pick up an X-Men book, right? Or whatever else were coming out, right? For that time. Now, so past and perfect, something like that. Excuse me. So you get a shot of like she's having a dream, and she's like, and this amazing thing. I'm not going to explore too much. And you find out that she's like, she's kind of able seeing the future somehow, or maybe not, or what it's going. She's confused herself, right? This is the young girl, idol, right? Singer in a band, like, what I mean when I say idol, right? You mean, like maid. What is it like? Is it bandmaid? Bandmaid? Yeah, bandmaid. One of the. I'll tell you what I mean by bandmaid. So there's a whole bunch of like really sort of like themed, what we call it, gosh, I actually like bandmates so much. I put one of them like as a character in one of my books, which is like Templeton Torn, which is going to be coming out when we put out Templeton issue 1 of Rise and Fall. It'll be like an add-on, which is yeah, it's a 2-issue series, but we'll probably put it out as like an add-on for a couple bucks, so you guys get to read that story on its own. We put out the print copy, and that we'll put that out in PDF. So Bandmade, right, is a band. Like, so when we talk about idols, this is why, you know, that's why I love doing live streams, because I get to show you guys things that you guys, you know, haven't seen on the cuff, right? So this is Bandmade. Let me just pop out of here for a minute. And you get to take the journey with me, and you get to see some cool stuff. Shibuya. Right? The idol group, metal group. Everybody knows the idol thing, but not as much as they play their music very young and they become and I will send a link for that so you guys can watch it later. So that's what I mean, right? So very cool music, very cool, you know, talented people. So check that out. That's Bandmade. So back to the idol thing, right? So I'm gonna pop over and I'm gonna actually zoom past that, like on the thing, so I don't have to spoil the book for you guys. But so Larry was, you know, somebody did a super chat, and Larry played a song at the same time he played that song yesterday, like, because I was chatting to him, you know, and I got to, I don't want to spoil any major points in this, so that's why I'm jumping ahead here. So as I was, you know, because I want you guys to read this book, and I want you to support his Kickstarter, because he's worked really hard, and his team has done really great work on this. And I'm not, like I said, this is an honest review. There's no bullshit shit how I feel about this, right? I'm not trying to pull any punches. So, just because he's a friend doesn't mean I can't be honest about it. I watched that whole thing with Eric July and EVS, and I thought, fuck that. So, you know, how like later on he's saying this, and he didn't say that at the start because he was working with them. But I saw this pop up, right? And I was like, and the music popped off, and I'm like, shit, man, I'm just reading this part right here, you know? And I'm like, this is such a cool scene, you know, just like what I showed you with Bandmade, right? And it's just, you know, it just really shows you where they're at, you know, that hurdle, and the fact that it's a spread, 2-page, you know, spread, it's just so cool. It's like, I would love to see this as a poster, dude. If you're watching Larry, I would love to see this as a poster, right? Or if you see this later, because I think even as a card, right? If you put it on a card, if you don't already have it, I'd love to see that, because it'll be just so cool to have it on my wall, man, when I actually eventually get my box from you, right? Or my packet of stuff from you in print. So this is such a cool little, you know, a stage, you know, set. You see the, yeah, I've seen in, like, I've watched enough idol kind of based, gosh, what was that called? Damn it, Detroit, yeah, Detroit. Oh, what? Damn it, what is it called? I hate it when I forget things. There's the problem with my brain. This is why I don't review stuff. You know, because I mean, not review stuff, but because I can't remember shit because of the head injuries. Detroit Love City? No, Rock City. Is it Detroit Rock City? Yeah, it's Detroit Rock City, right? So there's a anime manga. No, not Rock City. Detroit manga. No, it's not Rock City. It's Metal City. the Detroit Metal City. Yeah, it's this one, right? So yeah, Detroit rocks, Detroit Metal City. So I hope you guys don't mind me popping back and forth, but I want to show you what I know about this shit, right? So this is about a actual, you know, not a real, but you know, like a fictional idol, kind of like the rock band, the whole thing, right? So this is Detroit Metal City. Damn it, no subtitles. Anyway. Things a bit off because like yeah, I don't know what that's off, but like that whole turn to you, like when they turn, it's on point with their look, and that's you know, that's wrong. It loses that whole thing because it's out of time. The sync's off. But yeah, so that Detroit Metal City, right, is basically about a dude from the Wops. What we call the Wops is basically the village, the out in the rural areas. You know, wants to be a rock star, like, you know, he wants to be a pop star. So he's doing all these poppy things, right? So kind of like the same version of these young girls, right? They want to, you know, be pop idols. But his manager basically goes, no, you're going to do this. And so he becomes this like death metalhead, thrash metal singer with all the makeups. That was him. And you watch him and he's like this little dude kind of this, you know. And so if you haven't seen, you know, Detroit Metal City, do check it out. It's just such a fun little, they actually did a live action as well of that. It's just so funny. You know, it's such a cool manga and so cool anime and even so cool live action as well. And it's only like a 12 volume series. So it's like a very short punchy little thing. And it's just funny. So I saw this, I thought it was really cool and it deserves to, maybe here's another thing. You could actually do that as like a wraparound cover as well, you know, and have, you know, let me pop better so you can see what. So you can have her in the front cover and have NYOBI here in the back, you know, and you basically divide that up and we look at like a really cool cover, you know, as a wraparound. Anything when it's like a 2-page spread, you can all like, here's something, you know, for people who are like out there, you know, getting into comics or Kickstarters, whatever. You can reuse your work, especially if it's a poster or, I mean, like a pinup kind of thing, like a single page, full page thing, or if it's like a 2-page spread, you can use that as a cover or a poster or as a card or as a sticker or a friggin' t-shirt. Learn to monopolize your craft, your artwork, because that you're paying for, what you've gotten or whatever, right? Because you really want to grow what you're doing into the wider sphere of, you know, merchandise, into the audience, into the reader, into the fan. Somebody might like to just have wear clothes, you know, like me. I bought a Gwenpool hat, but I don't have all the comic books that I want of Gwenpool, right? I bought my niece, who doesn't even know who Gwenpool is, a t-shirt with Gwenpool because it looked like a cool pink t-shirt. And then I bought myself one because it was pretty cool. And then the thing started shrinking. So I said, here, you have this one as well. So she ended up with 2 t-shirts. So there are people with t-shirts you can give away as gifts. So back to, back to NYOBI here. So that's kind of like the marketing, right? I'm learning as I go along, and I used to be in clothing. That's why I mentioned that. So you can do that with that. And there's so many things you can do with the art that you're given. Now, the other thing is, then you like I mentioned, I jumped ahead to this because I don't want to kind of spoil it. earlier on what happened. So there's there's another person shows up. She has, she kind of like experienced this kind of like almost like a traumatic experience, which kickstarts her genome thing. So kind of think like mutants, right? The Gen X. Was it Gen X? Yeah, the Gen X mutant, whatever DNA thing kicks off, and you've now got special powers. So, and this is the other thing, right? So I don't want to read this until my actual book was actually, INCREDI-GIRL was already in people's hand or already had finished the Kickstarter, right? It isn't in people's hands, but it's already it's already printed, it's all real, because I don't want anybody to kind of like go, oh no, this is because of this, and like there are many ways for people to get powers. Mine's totally different. And for my INCREDI-GIRL series, right, with the Plunge Universe, that's totally different, which is what I love about reading other people's work, is how do they get their powers, right? Yeah, you're right there, Nathaniel. Hey, cheers for watching, by the way. If you're new here, like I always say, hit the subscribe, help a brother out. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. Having that, here's the thing. If you know someone who's enjoying the fucking X-Men 97 new series right now, and they like going, would you like, would be love to have comics like that. I wish the comics were like this again. Point them to NYOBI. Perfect for them to read right now, right? Hey, get online and buy freaking, buy Origin. It's a good kick in the pants for a good book written in a good way. Now, these are the pros, right? Because you now have something to talk about. Because, man, I wish comics weren't this shit like they are now. I wish they were like this 97 animation series that's happening. I've just watched the first episode. It's like everybody's fucking talking about, well, dude, why don't you just go buy this for a couple bucks on, at a store? A couple bucks isn't going to harm you, right? It's a coffee, as we say in New Zealand, right? It's a coffee, $5, whatever, it's a coffee. So it's not going to like damage your wallet. And I know sometimes it can be, for me, like I know when it can damage my wallet, right? When I'm down to the last fucking cent, or whatever, and I stay at home and I don't go anywhere, right? And so I understand that as well. But if you're looking for something to read that's similar to what the good Burns and Claremont books were of the 90s, and not because I'm saying because it's the old style, I'm saying the story is really good. That's why we loved X-Men in the 90s. Right. So, and that's what this made me feel like. It was like so cool. It was like, felt like this is the way comics should be. It should expose you to new things, but also remind you of how stories should be told. And you can hold back on some things, and you can, but here's the thing. You learn about her powers. It's not like he's hiding what the powers are, right? It's not like, hey, and you also get introduced to who the bad guys are, who the good guys are. You get introduced to her world, and you get introduced to what's to come as well. So it's kind of like it leads to everything that the way a good story should be told, right? You know who the character is, you know what she's about, what her life has been like, how she got her powers, or whatever kickstarted it, who was there, who's the bad guy, who's the good guys, who are probably not sure what the future holds for the book. So let me take that off and move to some, like I said, that's the positives. Let's get to some negatives. So when I was looking at this, I was thinking like, there are a couple things that could really, really, really help this book get into more hands and away from the so-called bad girl, stigma. Because that can also work as a plus as well as a bad, right? Because I like for me, like I was like having to decide myself for my book, Templeton, right? Because Templeton was going to be like this, all ages kind of, like not all ages, sorry, kind of like a teen plus book. And then, because the way I read it, my artist sent me like a, M15, and I'm like, well, by M15, I mean 15-year-olds, right? Teen, like more than teen plus, because teen plus for me means 13 and over, right? Teen plus, because teenagers are considered, 13 is a teenage, right? And so I looked at it and I went like, oh shit, I kind of don't know if we want to do that. And then my publisher goes like, right, who's a friend of mine, he goes, well, we don't have a book like that. So it'll be cool to have a book like that because it's something different, and that'll open, for you, it might be something positive for your work to get into different, older reader pages, because that's the people that are actually really buying and collecting comics right now is like about 35 to 55-year-olds, 60-year-olds, right? Because those people remember what comics were like, and so they've grown with the comics. And so I went, I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. I kind of ran with that, and I went like, you know what, James, because he's the artist, and I went, James, look, yeah, let's just go for it, because he did 2 versions of it, right? And I went, yeah, let's just, because he did the first version without a top on, second version with the top off, because I said, first version with the top off, and second version when I said like, I think we need to cover up with the top on. And then I went back, look, dude, we had a chat and really thought about it. I think it must have been a day or two, because I usually need like an overnight thing to get my head through, because usually I just go, nah, and then I have to go think. Even though I know I do that, I still go, nah, it's just the way my brain works. But so I just said to James, I said, look, man, yeah, let's go with the first idea. And I think I needed, I got a second opinion, and even with that second opinion, I still had the final decision. And I went, yeah, let's go with it. Let's take this as far as we can take it, because this is not gonna be for kids. And that also means that I can go deep into what I want to go with this, because this is a horror book, right? It's about hell, right? So demons and angels and all this other stuff that I don't want to spoil by telling you that. And we've gone full ball, right? Because it's for mature readers, right? And it's not going to be in the hands of kids, because it's probably an R18 book, as far as I'm concerned, right? Because of the content, because of the story, everything. So we're not going to try to downplay it. That's why, same thing with when we put out like anything that comes out of Plunge Studios, apart from Zoolandia, that series is like for kind of like PG. Everything else is like mature readers. And so Zoolandia probably end up on Rising Sun, that account, because I want Plunge Studios to just to only on the account be mature readers content. So with that in mind, we're going to go to what I felt like there was a couple of things you could remove from this, and this is taking from my friend's book and from the comic side, comics store side. And this is why I'm going to tell you what I tell you, because I've got there's 3 people talking about this, not just my own idea on this, but because of having discussions with people who sell comics in the stores. So why am I bouncing ahead of that? Come here. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a moment. I'm trying to find the right page without having to spoil what I'm going to talk about. Right. So this is something like, and I don't want to make sure I'm not spoiling anything else, right? So here we go. So there is this part here. Hey, bud. So there is this part here and I know this is the digital version, right? So by just removing this, and I've seen this happen all the time with DC and Marvel, and I'm wondering, why do I do that? Like, I was like, you guys are fucking weak ass doing that, because like I'm swearing as well, right? And I'm thinking like, why do they do that? And I realized why they did that. It's by putting the squiggly lines like hashtag, @ sign and all that stuff. That actually makes it so they can sell it to younger readers, right? So just by sweet, you can e-fat me later if you want. Cheers, Ed. Thank you for coming anyway. Yeah, so that's why Marvel and DC does that. That's why a lot of those books, publishers do that, who mass market. And that's something that I had to think about when I was doing INCREDI-GIRL as well. So I was like, well, what could I say that's just a punching without it being a swear word? Like, because every time you heard a swear word, it makes that the rating go higher, right? So you could just say, oh crap, nobody would care. The moment you use the F word or shit or whatever, people go, yeah, I can't sell that to like a teenager. I mean, like a 12-year-old. Even though this book is great for you could without that, there's two words in here that are like that. So it's like shit and F, right? Fuck, right? So without that, you could actually market this book to a teen plus PG book. And 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 also like if you had the cover, you would do like kind of a different cover, right? As well, that's more like so-called user-friendly, right? Or general audience kind of cover. And so that will allow you to be able, and this is all about the store, right? It's not about Kickstarter. This is about the store. But even on Kickstarter, you could do that. You could market it to PG readers, right? Or teenagers or teen plus. And so you're not cutting out that other sort of like, and this is about money, right? So you're not cutting out that other audience by just having a swear word on there. And now you like kind of like, what that does is kind of like closes you off from having to store, right? The store basically going, sorry, I can't because that's got swear words on there. So is your kid okay with that? And I've had to do this with other people in my store, right? And so last year when my friend was putting out his book, and this is why I'm talking about the other side of that. So that's the store side. So last year when my friend was putting out this book here, he got feedback from the store. Let me go to this. There we go. So my friend got like he self-published this, right? He high quality, everything black and white, but like high quality, right? He put this out, and it's sold out, by the way. And so, but he got feedback from the store, right? And basically the store said, "Listen, you got some swear words on there. What can you, maybe in the next one, or maybe when you read a release as a trade or whatever, can you like not use the actual words?" Because then I can sell it to more people. Then I could, then I could like market it to the libraries and say there's no swear words in there, and it's like really cool action because nobody gives a shit about violence in a book anymore. Nobody. But the moment you have like nudity and, and by the way, NYOBI doesn't have any of that, right? Just want to make that clear. But I'm just talking about my friend's book, right? So, or any other book, right? So the moment you have nudity, topless, or or swear words in a book, it kind of like pushes you away from the general market, right? Like having it in the shop, on a shelf, so on. And you kind of have to go, I just for mature readers now, just because one or two words are in it. And that sucks because that's cutting you from like more income, more sellability, more profit. And you don't want to do anything that does that. Now, having said that, like I just mentioned, Templeton, right? Which has nudity, which has swearing, which has gore, which is violent as fuck. My book, right? Which is coming out later in September. I mean, like October, September, August, I don't know. It's the next one after Robot Nation. If depends how quickly we get Robot Nation out. And that's just full on, like huge, like torture scenes and shit like that. So that's pure R18 book, right? That's probably the most R18 age that I've done. But I don't. But then also there's books like Howler, which hardly has any swearing on it, but there's a lot of gore and fight scenes, bloody and all that. And so it's all about who you want to reach with your audience. And I think people go, well, I'm going to take that out. It's going to make me feel censored. And that's how I felt when my friend told me that about his book. I felt like, why the hell are you going to censor yourself, man? Why are you going to censor yourself? Why are you listening to, And then I realized, what is your aim when you're doing something as an artist, as creating as a comic book? That's something you really have to ask yourself, right? I'm going to take that off because it makes it look like it's a negative thing. Why? Because this is a really, because without those, you have some real, you're able to sell a lot more, and what the other thing that happens there, right, is that now you've won over the fucking a store by doing that, right? By playing their game, right? You've now won over the store. Let me show my art, right? So you don't see my mug. All right. So you won over. You want to win over your, your customer. Your first, especially from the shop. The first customer is the comic shop. The manager, the owner of the comic shop, is your first customer. The second customer is the guy who comes in with his wallet to buy something. He looks on the shelf and he goes, "Oh yeah, that," and he takes that up and goes, "Oh, I want to get this for my kid. It looks really cool." And the guy goes, "Yeah, there's some couple swear words. Are you good with it?" And somebody goes, "Oh shit, no, I'm not. I can't give that to my 10, 12-year-old, right? Or 12-year-old, right? Because kind of that age." And they go, "But it's only 2 words." Like, you don't want them to do that, because now they're having to explain your work to them. You just want to go like, "Yep, it's for that," and you don't have to worry about it. It's on there. It's PG, safe. This is why I say, like, when actually I said I was going to put an image up and I forgot to put the image. Right, and that's why you want to, like, I did have it and then I clicked off again. Yeah, so here we go. Right, so you can you get to this is a really good book, by the way, and I think that's why I don't have any cons against it, right? Like any negatives against it. And I think the only 2 things was the 2 swear words. That's it, because that works against the sellability to to a more general audience, profit-wise, right? And working with the comic shops, because everything else in there is general audience, really, to really think about. X-Men book, Flash, whatever you want to call it, meta-human book, right? Whatever, and it's really good. Artwork's great. There's 1 or 2 pieces that I thought like seemed overdone. I'm not sure if there was a change in artist. Don't know. But they didn't. Because I'm looking at as a review. That's the only reason I pick up on that, right? Otherwise, I was like, no, it's fine. So, but as a book, it's worth your time. It's worth reading, because I think it was really good setup. The story is really well done. It tells you exactly what you need as a new issue, like as your new book you're getting into. I want a copy, right? And when I do, I'm going to make sure he signs it for me, and because I want to, I've been looking to get a whole bunch of stuff from him. But the other thing is, it's really, I don't know when he wrote this in the last 10, 12, 10 years that he's been writing, right? I don't know where Origins comes in. I'm sure, I'll get on his podcast sometime and ask him these questions. Maybe he'll write down in the, in the chat sometime. Not in the chat, in the comment section, to let people know exactly when he wrote this story, when it came into the timeline, right? Because I think here he's really crafted a really good story, right? And so I don't know if he started this way or if he got to this way a couple of years down the road, because I know this. If you're coming into Origins reading this, you're coming at the high point of his skill as a writer, which is good. This is where you want to start reading his work, and especially this book. But I think for me, like the whole bad girl moniker, it works for the older crowd as a like a promotion piece, and you can like lean into that. But if you just go, um, a book for the fans of X-Men, that would work way better, because this feels like a really cool, superhero mutant book, and it's written that way and it works that way, and he's, and he said that's what he wanted to do, and I think he did a great job in there. So I don't want to waffle on too much. I was only going to do for half an hour. Now it's going to about 20 extra minutes over time, as we say here, right? So, and I'm sure you guys say it there as well. But do go check it out. But please also, he's got 2 days left on his Outbreak, right? Issue 3. And I think I'm getting Birthright #1 through my comic store here. This is why I say the comic stores, that's where you should be aiming for your comic book to go if you're on crowdfunding, to get some sort of deal with with a publisher to get them into comic shops. And you don't have to go through previews, right? You could actually yourself take it to a comic store, but the comic store wants quality products. They want quality story because they want to stand behind what they're selling, like any manufacturer, right? Any product producer, any shop, any owner of any business. They want to be able to stand behind that work. And that's why I say, like, if you need to get rid of a couple swear words, that'll allow more readers to their book. Because listen, the store needs to make money, just like you need to make money. So if the store is telling you, hey, if you do this, it'll get me more money, and it'll get you more money, it'll sell more people, get you more, you got to play that game, because you can go do whatever you want on Kickstarter, but you can also do a radio friendly, right, release of your single. That's what this is. That's what the store wants, right? They want they want an audience friendly readership. So that's what you got to play. And so in that, please go. It's only got like 54 backers. He deserves a couple of hundred, to be honest, right? Or is it? No, hold on. That's 54 days. My bad. Yeah, like I said, he deserves 1,000, to be honest, because this is a good book. I don't know about the Outbreak series, but you can get 1 to 3, right? If you get number 3, you get 1 to 3. So you get, I've already put money down on this. Like just money, like here, played a couple bucks, because I know I'm going to get this later on anyway. And I'm in hardcovers, right? Hard copies. So I just wanted to, put a couple bucks in. So it might probably shows up on his thing. It doesn't, I don't know. But that's where I've done that. But I'm also getting it through the hard copy through the comics, because I can have the band done cover, right? Which is from the one that's released in the comics now. I mean, comic book shops around, which is here. And I'll give you the link for that as well, because there you go. And I had this open before. It wouldn't show me what, the cover on its own. I'm not sure why that was, because maybe I had too many things open, right? Here we go. Oh, they show me cover. Perfect. So let's get over to that. Stop screen. I don't want to stop thing. Yeah, you're right. Nugget. It is good work. Let me just put that up in a sec. So here you go. So you're from Wellington, right? Right? No, you're saying it's good, nice work. Yeah. If you're in Wellington, right, you could basically go into a store in Wellington, or Christchurch, or wherever the hell you are, right? If you got a good comic store, you can order this through your comic store, right? Just jump on previousworld.com and type in NYOBI Outbreak or whatever, NYOBI Comics, and so that's the cover that I've gotten, right, for my store here, because I just changed the store at the end of last year. I wasn't even. This is what brought me back into comics, right? Because I was like, I'm out of the freaking store business, and then I'm like, oh, you got. Okay, well, my mate's got a comic in the store, so I might as well grab it, because it's going to save me on, print copy, and it's going to save me on freight for individual copies. And so I just started doing. Sorry, man. Sorry, guys. So basically, I was able to just get it direct, and I said to Stu from Paris for Sale, I said, hey, can I have all of them set up? Like, I just order them and pay for them and have them there in my catalog, whatever, and then just pay it off, and then just put in my and then when I'm ready, I'll just get them all sent at once, or 5 or 10 of them, whatever it is. And I'm talking about all the other books, right? Now I'm buying more, because I'm buying like variant covers. That's my thing. And so I said, add this to that. And so whatever I'm saving there, now I'll be only adding, like, if I get 10 books, I'm paying $10 for 10 books for freight, right? So do that, like, seriously, like, go. I've got the Ben Dunn cover, right? Let me just make that bigger so you guys can see, right? So I've got this beautiful Ben Dunn cover coming from me. You can also, there should be a link here that would say other. Here we go. There we go. There it is. So you've got 3 other covers in this set. Am I going to get already? So that's your standard cover. Let me pop over to the other screen because it's trying to jump away on me. Right, so that's your standard cover. Right, so here's the other thing, right? And I know this is the whole bad girl thing that's coming out with Larry's books and stuff like that, but and that's the other thing, like covers are very important as well. Like when you put out certain covers, that's the other thing, it'll put you into certain areas as well in the shops. It'll go into the mature, because this will go into the mature, and he's happy with that, and that's fine. As a creator, right, you get to choose what you want, and I'm never going to tell the creator what to do. But because that's what, I'm not going to want somebody else to tell me what to do either with what I'm doing. However, I'm always open to information, learning, and whatever, because I want to sell as fucking much comics as I want, and so should anybody else. So that's the other thing. You got to look at like how, one thing you got to do is have conversations with your stores, right? And not just the one person. Have a variety, especially if you're getting your comics in the stores. What does the store want from you as a creator to help them sell more comics for you, right? And so there's that cover, and there's another pretty cool. That's why I said I went to the second cover, right? I went to the middle. So that cover's like $10 New Zealand, about $10-12 New Zealand with GST and all that shit. So the next cover, is it already sold out? Because covers D already sold out. Or C, I think it was a cover C. Why isn't it getting me where I wanted to go with this? Hold on. Maybe I'll search through NYOBI Outbreak, and then I'll just finish off here, guys. Where is it? Search. There you go. All right, so are you guys seeing that? Yes, you are. Good. So there's three covers, right? So you got the regular cover, right? Cover A. Then you got cover B with Ben Dunn. Then you got cover C, right, with Paul Green. Now let's have a look at Paul Green cover and more detail. Is it Paul Green? Yeah, that's Paul Green. There you go. Very cool. Creative, that's what you want for a cover C, right? But I think if it was me, right, for cover A, I wouldn't have put the cover A, that cover. But that's fine. It's not me. All right. And that's what I think this is what a lot of people get hung up on. Is like, just because I do something my way doesn't mean everybody else will do their way. And this is the problem with like when people get into group mentalities, right? Because you got to know what you're doing, what you want for yourself. But there are also rules of the game, as they say, right? The comic store is the comic store. They're your first customer. If you want to get into comic stores, and it's a beautiful cover, by the way. I should have ordered that one as well, but maybe I'll get it direct from them later. But because I'm about art, I'm about cover, and because that's the only reason I've recently bought covers for, because the stories in the fucking mainstream comics is shit. But so in that, this is a good book. I highly recommend Origin. Get onto Larry's website. You can, and then also back this. You've got 2 days to do it in. Like I said, I've just given a pledge because I know I'm getting some physical copies later. But this, for those who aren't, please do succeed and do, hit this up, help them, help them reach, 20K. And that's in New Zealand 20K. So it's only about 14K. So it's got another 6K. Get them past the 300 mark, man. Help them, get more backers. Spread, like I said, spread. This is a good book, right? I mean, like, from what I've read, his Outbreak, I haven't read the Origin. If the Outbreak's the same standard, then you do need to, you'll enjoy it. And so let people know it doesn't cost you anything to just put out a link into everywhere else, right? Into on your Facebook, into your Twitter, into your Instagram. Just go, hey, there's a Kickstarter going, man. There's no what we call skin off your teeth, right? Whatever, skin off your hand, right? Because, oh yeah, we say teeth because it's like pain, right? It's skin off your teeth, right? So here, so it doesn't cost you anything to just share a link to an indie comics thing, because guess what? You guys are all day talking about X-Men 97, Star Wars this, the Acolyte that. But what about just sharing an indie comics link or Kickstarter link, right? Because I think if you guys are so passionate about all these other shit that don't give a shit about you, don't care about you, they just put out crap, like that lady the other day who did Acolyte. Oh, I just like, I don't have any favorites. I just like the whole universe. It's like, so you don't like the first story. You don't like the characters. You don't like that story there. Oh no, I just like everything. Well, then you're just a normie, right? So basically, if you're a fan of X-Men comics, if you're a fan of superhero comics, if you're a fan of good storytelling, go support Larry, man. Support his book. And if you want check out his website. Check if you go into his on his let me bring it up. If you go into his YouTube channel, you'll be able to, man, I wanted to play some cool music to finish off here with Bandmate. I might actually put something else on before we finish. But if you go to NYOBI, right, NYOBI Comics, you'll be able to see all the links to all his stores, and you can back that shit left and right. If you want good comics, go and check out where you can, all the stores and stuff, all the links to things, right? YouTube channel, Instagram, follow him around, right? But I think there, right, you can buy directly from here, YouTube, right now, right, on a store and stuff. So go do that. If you here's the thing, like I said, if you want good storytelling, the indies are friggin' telling good stories, right? You can't complain all day long about them, oh, there's no good comics, and then not actually look elsewhere for it. So yeah, go back them, go check it out, and like I said, honest review. And if you think I'm not being honest, go to the start. But anyway, that's me for today. Thank you for checking this out. I'm going to come back with another stream and carry on with doing this in a couple of hours. I think my elbow's a bit sore because I'm holding this up as yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on with some more of the sculpting. But wherever you are, hope you enjoyed this. If you like, what we're doing here, all the interviews and so on, conversations that I have with other people and artwork, whatever, do give me a like, give me a share. But just in finishing, let me share something personal. So right now, my comic is on sale, the black and white version, at risingsunpublishing.com, right? And we're doing, this is a black and white version, which is like this, very cool art. Just this morning, earlier I spoke, I just finished like the translation of 2 sample pages, which was for this and another one story. So each story got a translation to different language. So there's a Portuguese and Spanish. So I done a page of each. So when we go to Kickstarter, we can show you what that's like in that language. So we're releasing the first standalone issue. I've got to make that very clear. It's the first issue is a standalone issue with two stories in it. One on Earth, one in space. And so it's going to be translated in 3 languages, Spanish, English, and Portuguese, for starters. So yeah, and we're looking at doing it in full color. Now it's only 36 pages here, but because we've had so many awesome covers come in and so on, except for this one, this won't be, this won't be in the book. This will be on the special, covers, variant cover. But like this one here's just for the stores, right? This is like the clean version just for the stores. There's another version for everybody, for Kickstarter backers, which is the bloody version. So we're going to be taking this to Kickstarter soon. probably next month. Just trying to make sure I've got all my, everything set up. But yeah, hop over to risingsunpublishing.com, and they've got a 20% off spring sale. Right. So that's all I got to say for that. And so wherever you are, thank you again. Thank you for checking out my channel. Give us a like, subscribe, and share. It doesn't cost you anything to just share or subscribe or like, right? But it does help us with the algorithm, get more people to see what we're doing, and all the other guests, because there's some amazing talent that I get to interview, and I enjoy doing that. So have a good day. If you don't catch me on the next stream, wherever you are, be well, be safe. If you have a loved one close by, give them a hug and a kiss. Let them know you care. And if they're not close by, jump on, let them know through whatever, social media, Skype, Messenger, chat, whatever, text, that you are thinking about them today, because you don't know who needs that right now. The way I do it, I just put some artwork out there, sometimes jump in the chat and, hey, how's it going? People it's hard times, right? Things happen all the time. So it's good to have someone, to hear that somebody does care about people or is thinking of them, because that could help them get past a little bit in life. So wherever you are, thank you for joining in. And yes, I'll finish off with this, and we'll finish off with Bandmate. Finish off with the Bandmate, so you guys can have something to, enjoy on your way out. Are we on Bandmate? Yes.
Open your eyes. Turn on the cow, do shake your body down, shake your body down, shake your body up. So the same cold, I can't you die, you'll be said every day. You know, good to say, she ran away, say, you say, no, that is that you want to bring in that, and I can't die, you gotta keep running, must keep running. Stop! No, not about me. I still can't about me. I need to say that you will do the miss that but you will miss that side. You could have dreamed that our decision. I've been there, it's just right. You don't die there, predator alive, oh no. Can you figure it? To run to Kaku no choose man. Don't you? Clever. Just bring out. Shiver more than nothing, no. Without me, coming to pay you. Take over that one. No, it's that you don't wanna be in that and I can't get you. You gotta keep that in, not to keep that in. No, not about me. I still can't about me. I need to say that tree. We're gonna miss that, but you have missed that side. Come and get it right down front.
る胸にこうしてるだけ世界に回る世界 Will you be in the present I need you to do myself Second say you let me down You say no 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 なんて言ってずっとまだビビった誰が足んないよだから keep running まず keep running Say No 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 だまだダメ明日がダメあんに気のせいだし元の道だる場所は道だる届ける朝を繰りしてメイクはまだ終われない This is also where are you たとえ遠いでも聞こえる声に耳すましメイクはちょいつで